What's something 99% of people do wrong but have no idea? All right, sounds like we're about to learn a lesson or two, and if you don't learn a thing, I owe you big time. Let me know in the comment section below. Story 9's quite a trip, but first, the first story. Not really proudly, but I feel like this fits here. I intentionally suck at my job. I work in a store where we have a high focus on sales stats like items per customer, average sale, and I'm the best. I also work the most. As a result, we've been crushing the other stores in our area since we started up a few months ago. My boss recently screwed me out of some sick leave money and refused to remedy the situation, so I'm pretending like times are hard and he's panicking because our sales stats suck in the most important month of the year and were the worst in our region because I was carrying everything and now I'm not anymore. It feels good. Store's already lost more money from me being average than he would have had to pay me to make me happy. Wonder if he'll catch on soon. Doesn't matter to me anyway. I'm hourly, so I get the same pay anyway. Don't mess with your best employee. I bet the other stores in the region are suddenly feeling a lot better about themselves. It's like that one kid in class who always aced the test suddenly started failing and everyone else is like secretly relieved. Story 2. Argue. Modern media has shown us that being loud and throwing accusations around is the best way to argue. The amount of fallacies and angry vibes that I encounter when just trying to make a point is ridiculous. I hear a ton of red herring and straw man arguments as well, people not responding to actual claims being made, preferring to go off on tangents they themselves created. And then if they don't get their way immediately, they say you are just trying to win, despite never actually refuting your point or presenting a valid counterpoint. Story 3. Critical thinking. Have your own thoughts about things that are happening or that you hear about, connect ideas together just for funsies, and compare facts with other facts. Critical thinking is when you don't simply take what you receive at face value. People seeing things that you don't aren't overthinking, they're simply thinking their own thoughts. They might be wrong, but it's good to practice anyway. Better than underthinking, way better than taking everything at face value too. Story 4. I'm looking at my fellow dudes here specifically, but boy, is there a thing with not thoroughly washing. I always wondered why it seemed like I could never shower as fast as other guys I knew. I felt like there was some inscrutable life hack that I was missing where one could fully get clean in like 30 seconds. Upon digging, I was horrified to discover that a lot of dudes simply don't wash their back, legs, feet. They just let the soap run down their body and assume it's clean. The scrubbing is the mechanism that makes things clean, and the soap is just there to help the water do its job. And gents, I don't know what the hang-up is with your own bum. Just get up there and scrub. That's one of the worst areas for odor and bacteria. And it's just so nasty that you think cleaning there is gross, but just wetting down the filth and drying off is not. Do better. When my wife and I first lived together, she also noticed that I took long showers, not any longer than her, mind you. And she asked about it. I explained that a lot of guys don't clean themselves properly, and I could see a wave of realization about other men before me wash over her. She has had zero objections to my routine as a result. All right, so if you're guilty and you just let the soap run down your body and assume it's doing its job, you know, thumbs up in the comment section below. Also, guys, after you use the bathroom, the urinal, they just walk up, do their thing, zip up, and walk out the door without even washing their hands. What's up with that? And then they're picking on their face after. Story 5. I've been a cycling enthusiast, garage mechanic for over 20 years. The amount of people I see riding down the street bouncing up and down on tires that have 15 psi. If you hate your bike commute because it's so tough, try inflating your tires. There are many factors at play when it comes to the efficiency of a bicycle, but I would argue tire pressure has the biggest effect. There are different reasons to want different pressures. For example, with mountain biking, you generally want to go as low as you can without bottoming out your tire on your rim. If you're doing some amount of gravel or dirt path riding, you might want slightly less pressure. But if you're just riding on the road or sidewalk, look at your sidewall to see what the max allowable pressure is and do that. Story 6. Your side mirrors are adjusted improperly, and it's a bit dangerous with an easy fix. Most four-door sedans and SUV-sized vehicles don't have much, if any, of a blind spot. Your side view mirrors are supposed to watch the side of your vehicle, so the closer those side view mirrors are to being adjusted properly, the smaller that zone is where a car isn't visible in your side view mirror. People commonly use their side view mirrors as secondary rear view mirrors, and it's a bit dangerous to do that. Plus, it totally eliminates the utility of your actual rear view mirror. The easiest fix, for either side, sit in an upright driving position and adjust the mirror until your own vehicle is just barely visible in it. Adjust it a little more past that, and what you should have is a mirror which looks down the lane beside you rather than back into your own lane. You shouldn't be able to see much or any of your own vehicle in your side view mirror because, if you think about it, that is a total waste of mirror space. You know what? I never thought about that is a total waste of mirror space if I left a bit of my vehicle in my left or right side view mirror. Good stuff. Told you I'd learned something. Story 7. Pronounce Caesar. I guess it's fine if you're talking about the dressing maybe, but it just sounds cringe. I thought half the characters in Fallout New Vegas were saying it wrong. The other half say it like most of us. Looked it up and it turns out they were saying it right, or at least historically accurately. To say it correctly, you want to say something like Kaiser, hard K, I, and Zar rhymes with car. Of course, if you do, most people don't know what you're saying. Sometimes correct isn't right. That said, if you ever find yourself back in time face to face with a Kaiser, aka Caesar, I advise you to bend the knee and say his name correctly, Kaiser. He might punish you if you call him Caesar, or maybe make you his court jester. I don't know, depending on his mood and which Caesar, Kaiser, you tell me. Story 8. Seeing your doctor is useless if you aren't paying attention to the work. Get a panel every year and only see a doctor if you need one. It's easy and even cheap. US online website called Walk-in Lab allows you to just buy basic tests without doctor's orders. You want to buy the CMP and CVC, you can read the results yourself. With these in your hand, it's easier to get help from a free clinic type of doctor. Make an appointment with the clinic for 10 days out, get the work 5 days out, they email you the results, print them and ask the clinic guy to help you improve your numbers if needed. Story 9. Gym. People always get hung up on the weight they're lifting, but most people don't realize that the execution of correct form is probably the most crucial thing for getting results, not just how much you were able to move. The reason is that you move weight in an exercise by incorporating muscles that are not meant to be used in that exercise, whether you are conscious of doing it or not. This takes more load off the muscle group that the exercise was designed to work out and distributes that load among all the muscles you are unconsciously or consciously using to try and move the weight. This results in much less muscle activation in the muscle that the exercise is meant to train, meaning very little, if any, gains will be achieved. And even if you do get gains, you are going to get them much slower than you would have if you had used the right form from the start. For all of us gym science bros out there, also full range of motion, get that stretch in, and probably try to squeeze in a few more partials to get to almost failure or failure. Story 10. Whenever people phone in a reckless driver, they do not follow the reckless vehicle until police arrive. 99% of the time, whenever a reckless driver is called into 911 dispatch, they'll say, a blue Honda tag XXXXX is driving all over the road. He's probably intoxicated. Then the caller says, okay, send the cops, I have to go, bye. What happens then is that dispatchers have to communicate that information to the road patrol. By the time this has been communicated, about 45 seconds or so has passed. By the time the officer gets into his car and pulls out onto the road, another 15 seconds has passed. That is important because if a vehicle is traveling 60 miles per hour, that means they have now traveled an entire mile from the last known destination. With dozens of turns between their initially spotted location and by the time the officer gets there, there's zero possibility that driver that could have ended somebody will ever be found or be held accountable. The caller didn't stay behind the reckless driver, they went about their business and to this moment likely believe that the reckless driver was eventually pulled over. Newsflash, he wasn't and never is. Source, I've responded to over 100 reckless driver calls the past year and maybe 2 of the situations the caller actually followed the vehicle and led to a traffic stop. Story 11. Being ungrateful or having the wrong perspective on things. Not to get too deep into my personal history, but I am a recovering user and a big part of my life has been AA. And I have said for years that every single person on this planet could benefit from AA regardless of whether or not you have a fixation. The most important thing I learned there was gratitude and perspective and acceptance and compassion. They're all tied together. I learned that I wasn't special. I used to pity myself because I thought my life was so hard and I had it so bad, and I learned that I wasn't special and that there are millions of people out there going through stuff way worse than me. And that if I changed the way I looked at things, I realized that a lot of my problems weren't really as bad as I thought. It also taught me to be grateful for everything. Instead of going into work every day, thinking about how my job sucked, I learned to be grateful for the fact that I could work because there were people out there who didn't have the capability to work. I learned to love, and when I see someone struggling, instead of thinking, so what, I got my own problems, I always ask myself, how can I help this person? Donating $5 to $10 to a homeless person won't affect my life at all, but maybe that money can help them way more than it would help me, and maybe the love and compassion I show to people on a daily basis changed that person's life, and they went on to help other people. Story 12. How they take or use medication, especially inhalers. Most of the time, it's not their fault. Picking up OTC and prescription medicine has been forced to be very transactional, like picking up fast food. But then there is no time for instruction or counseling to be given. There are certain medications that even if you take it every day, if not taken with or without food, do not absorb and actually do nothing for you. Or if inhalers are not used correctly, 90% of the medicine ends up at the back of your throat and not in your lungs. Even with over-the-counter medicine like Flonase, if you spray it up your nose and are now tasting it, most of it has now just gone down your throat. Story 13. Critical thinking. There's something called cognitive bias. It's not as simple as Fox News or MSNBC. I think most intelligent people know that they're right or left. If you think that immigrants cause more accidents, then if you search for the right thing, you'll find it. When in fact, around the world, the majority of mass accidents in particular are caused by natives. But search for what you're looking for and you'll find it. Critical thinking is looking for articles which discuss, learning to use things like media bias websites to understand. Here in the UK, the right wing in particular absolutely hates the BBC. Yet they're highly factual, if a little left of center, but literally it's a teeny-weeny bit. Or a country that always votes closest to the center. If you want a truly unbiased news story, check out Reuters. If you believe what Fox News or in the UK, GB News says, you're anything but a critical thinker. Story 14. Quote-unquote learning. This may just be true to my life experience, but so many people I know have associated going to school, private or public mandated, and pursuing higher education as having some sort of exclusive knowledge that you can't find elsewhere, then graduate and completely digress in their knowledge. School can be a great tool, but it doesn't teach you how to learn. My grandparents taught me at a young age that you will pass away never knowing everything that's out there, and that you have to continue trying to learn new things for your entire life if you really want to live it to the fullest. Schools teach you to pass a test, but if you know how to truly learn new things on your own, the school of life will teach you more than any private or public education ever will. Story 15. That archaeologists spend most of their time excavating. I'm an archaeologist in Australia and New Zealand who works in consulting. While it depends on the context of the excavation and the sampling strategy, the general rule of thumb is that for European colonial excavations, 1 week of excavation is about 3 weeks of artifact analysis and maybe the same in writing reports. For indigenous Maori Aboriginal excavations, especially those involving midden sites, for example, shellfish and finfish, then 1 week of excavation can mean 3 months or more of artifact faunas analysis and 1 to 2 months of report writing. In Australia and NZ, hourly rates for archaeologists vary between 90 to 180 Australian dollars per hour, depending on the level of experience and expertise involved. Analysis may also include radiocarbon dating, which is also not cheap. People think that archaeologists just go in and dig up cool stuff and discard the rest. This is not the case. We meticulously analyze the material we excavate and analyze it in order to interpret the site, the way it was used, and the people who used it. As an aside, if your country has laws that require archaeological sites to be investigated prior to developing the land in which they are located, know that it is usually a time-consuming and expensive exercise. Ensure you do your due diligence before buying land and include archaeology and heritage in that due diligence. Realize that archaeological investigation required by law may cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Story 16. How to use their health insurance. I'll preface this by saying health insurance in America is absolutely crap. But a little bit of research and education done ahead of time when you are healthy and aren't actively using it goes a long way in saving you from headaches when you do need to use your coverage. Like, never ever trust the people at the front desk when they tell you a doctor and network with your insurance carrier. The front desk people don't handle the contracts with the insurance companies. They will happily misinform you, then send you the bill after you have had out-of-network services. Same thing applies when they know they are out of network, convince you to pay out of pocket, and advise you to submit the claim to your insurance, assuring you the insurance company will pay you back. Womp womp. When you find out after the fact that your carrier doesn't provide out-of-network coverage. If you don't understand things like what is a deductible, what is a maximum out of pocket, most insurance company customer reps would be happy to help you understand. My best piece of advice for anyone in the USA that has private health insurance, call the insurance carrier to find out who is in-network and to ask about things you don't understand. Story 17. They choose the wrong place to store the value they earn from work where they spend their money that they traded time for. Every time a person invests in the stock market will 10x. People think investing is a risk. However, holding government money is a guaranteed loss. Because you can't get ahead piling up money, people give it up or it takes so long they are old. Even if you earn a lot, have millions in the bank, inflation will eventually send you back to work when you're older. The trick? Own productivity. Own the units that produce what the world wants and needs. Predict what the future world will reward, own that, and gain significant buying power. Trade time for money at the start and invest as much as possible. You are paying for your freedom. What else is worth buying? Designer items? No. If you get $10, invest. $3 US index fund with low expenses. $3 pick a stock that will go up a lot in the next 1 to 2 years. $3 pick a safe long-term stock winner that will continue to win. $1 buy something riskier with well over 100% returns potential. Just keep adding until the amount you're adding becomes pointless to add. Story 18. Executing a right on red turn or just stopping at a damn red light in general, you come to a complete stop at the stop line, not in the middle of the frickin' crosswalk so you can edge out into traffic to get in front of the poor sap in front of you. Right on red, come to a complete stop at the stop line and ensure that there is no oncoming traffic to include pedestrians in the frickin' crosswalk. Then, when it is safe to do so, conduct your precious turn. If it ain't safe to do so, how about you wait your frickin' turn until your light is green? Thanks in advance. Story 19. Thinking, people suck at logic and have no idea how many fallacies and pitfalls of reasoning they fall into. Then they get all defiant and double down when it's pointed out, studies show. People have all kinds of views on philosophical topics and zero background in or idea what philosophy is. A philosophy PhD makes it extremely hard to have to engage in any sort of reasoning with people who don't have a philosophy background. Just so many awful thoughts and justifications flying around for wildly audacious claims that people casually and flippantly help themselves to without understanding entailments or contradictions. Absolutely wild what the absolute madness of reasoning is for most people, if there's any at all. Story 20. Hold a conversation. Many people complain that they are lonely, no one is their friend, other people hate them, etc. Are you aware of all the things you say intentionally or unintentionally that drives people away? Making a remark about someone's weight which you think was quote-unquote just a joke, minus points. Random flirting out of nowhere with a friend who has always been nice to you. Now you complain that the friend is ghosting you? No. Should not have done that unless you had certainty that they were into it. Passing comments about someone's career that they are passionate about? Minus points. If you are someone who constantly brings negative energy and puts down other people, no one would want to be around you or with you. Another variation of this, someone is talking passionately about something and you are zoning out visibly, that is an insult to the person. Someone trying to have a conversation with you and you just reply with, yeah, oh? Now that person will not like to discuss things with you ever again. I am saying all this obviously with the assumption that you care about the other person, and I'm not referring to someone who has been mean to you in the past. I'm just baffled by the number of people who complain about loneliness but bring zero to the table and don't even know how to have a talk. Story 21. Wrap cables? Look, I know that most people don't encounter this problem and consumer-grade cables have crap for memory anyways, but there is a proper way to wrap cables and that isn't just wrapping it around your elbow. Grab the cable with the connector in your palm and the run going through your thumb and forefinger. Grab it about 3 feet down the cable and make a circle 12 to 18 inches wide by pulling the cable towards you. Now grab another 3 feet down the cable, but this time push the cable away and finish making the circle. Repeat ad nauseum until you finish the cable. This technique keeps the cable relatively straight on the inside and has the fun benefit of coming out straight if you throw the cable. Finally, someone understands the lifelong struggle of accidentally creating sentient cable monsters by wrapping them wrong. Story 22. Make professional small talk. Seriously, there is a balance between an office robot who only speaks in jargon and a guy there just for a paycheck between hangovers. There are some basic rules. If you don't know who they are, treat them like they could fire you at will. Don't swear or tell off-color jokes until you hear them do it, and for the love of God, do not ever tell a joke or make a comment that is either sexist, racist, or xenophobic. Other than that, be polite and actually learn things about them and their interests, and you'll be fine. Story 23. Argue, debate. It goes like this. You, thesis plus evidence / logical argument. Them, counter-argument plus support or counter-evidence. You, further evidence for your thesis or additional counter-argument supported by logic or evidence. Repeat until one of several conclusions. You are correct, they are correct, the truth is somewhere in the middle, and the devil is in the details. Time to search for compromise. In other words, the world is complex and you're frickin' adults, god dang it, be respectful to each other. Arguing is not you, thesis and evidence. Them, personal attack and or straw man bringing in unrelated evidence. You, further defense and refutation of personal attacks or bewilderment at straw man. Them, more personal attacks, statistics related to the argument they're having in their head but not the one occurring in actuality. Their friend, a personal attack and twisted logical argument that presents easily recognized ethical conundrum with reverse roles. You, continued refutation of their personal attacks, restatement of thesis with original evidence, and additional evidence and or logical argument. them, quote, you, this art isn't worth my time since you obviously won't see beyond your own stubbornness, leaves. That's not how that works. P.S., quote unquote, personal experiences don't count as evidence unless you're a goddamn expert in the field and there's corroborating data. And if you're enjoying the video, learning a thing or two so far from these stories, I told you, don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more videos just like this. Story 24. Street parking, parallel style. Most people near my job who park in the metered area have zero clue about parking. One may pay by calling or using the app or getting a paper ticket from the machine. There are no marked spaces, just the two signs that you're allowed to park in between. If you're the first car parking, park all the way to one sign or the other. Heck, let the nose or tail of your car hang a few inches past the sign to deter people who think they can sneak the last fourth of an inch of their car in the parking zone and still be legal. The next car can park all the way up on the first car's tail or front, not touching obviously, but closer than you would normally allow. The first and last car both have free passes to get out by not having a car blocking them in on both sides. Everyone else needs to give equal space front and back. Definitely don't be the first to park and just throw your heap in the middle, angled out into the road and 2 feet from the curb. This is how one car can end up ruining parking for everyone. Story 25. I work in a very busy national park and this irritates me to no end. If there's a long line of cars waiting to get through the entrance station, you'd think that they would have ample time to get out your wallet and your pass or your money. Then when you are closer to the gate, there's a big sign next to where you're sitting that shows the prices of every pass there. So you get this so many times where someone comes up, how much is it? Sorry, were you not sitting next to the sign? So I tell them. Then they start digging out their wallet looking for money or they start taking out their wallet looking for their pass. Listen, I have hundreds of people trying to get through the gate. I need to do my job as fast and effectively as possible, and people who do this do nothing other than back traffic up even more. I even ask people, which pass would you like to purchase? I don't know. Okay, did you see the sign you were sitting next to when you were in line? No, I didn't. Awesome. Also, I get people who come to the park and say, wait, even if I'm not wanting to visit the park, just drive through it to get to the other side to go to whatever, wherever, I still have to pay? Duh, that's why there are big signs all over the road that leads to this park saying that you are entering a federal fee area and you will need to pay the entrance fee. I get people daily who say, oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, everyone who was a fee collector in the National Park Service knows that visitors do not read signs at all. No matter how many signs we have to help people or warn people about something, most visitors will not read it and become lost, injured, or agitated when they find out they can't do something. So I'd say the most simple thing that people can do that they do incorrectly is not read signs. Story 26. Walk and run properly without injuring themselves. I'm constantly the only person who runs around everywhere I am. Everyone I know, including my coworkers, cannot handle moving their feet in a fast manner. I just make sure that objects aren't in the way, that I can handle the speed at which I'm running, and that I'm not the human equivalent of a freaking octopus in socks, unlike everyone else I know. How you all survive on your own, I do not understand. I swear to God, you have no idea how many times I've seen people try to run and clip one leg with the other, or just run the front of their shoe into the ground at a 45+ degree angle and just fly. Or just run their leg into whatever is obviously in the way. I don't understand. Story 27. At the grocery store, it never fails. In the first aisle I go down, some lady has her cart parked in the middle and blocks the rest of the way. I creep up slowly and stop my cart right behind her and wait until she turns around and bumps into it. She's startled and gets out of the way. Now here's the trick. Everyone goes up and down the aisle in the same direction. What I do is go in the opposite direction in the next row. Now she sees me coming and gets out of the way. Sometimes I have to train a few people, but now I can zoom up and down and everyone gives me a wide berth. Story 28. Waxing their cross-country skis. Let's start with the basics. Kick wax versus hot glide wax. Kick wax is purchased in little cylinders and is made to stick to the snow. Hot wax is generally purchased in blocks. Kick wax is probably what most people know as ski wax. Kick wax should be applied to the middle of your skis, the kick zone, just shy of the heel of your boot to maybe 1.5 feet past your toe. Hot wax, if you choose to use it, goes everywhere your kick wax doesn't. This helps you glide more, but for many people, isn't worth the effort. The big thing that people do wrong is put kick wax all over their skis or an extra patch at the tips and tails of their skis. That will just slow you down and make skiing more work. Story 29. Adjust car mirrors. Most people can see the side of their own car and their side mirrors. That doesn't help you. And it means you have a large blind spot at your 4 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Imagine view cones provided by the three mirrors. What you want is maximum coverage and minimal overlap. Tweak those side mirrors out just a little so you can no longer see the side of your own car. The center mirror already has that zone effectively covered. Now you are more likely to see a motorcyclist like me. Please try it. You will learn to appreciate the greater awareness. Might save a life too. Story 30. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Gun control. First off, safety. Who needs a loaded weapon with no safety on and a round chambered? Unless you are on a combat patrol in Afghanistan, I severely doubt it. It's a risk to you and everyone around you. Secondly, children. I can barely handle a 5.56mm on full auto. Why are you giving your kid one? There's a reason they aren't sold to minors at most. They should get a hand-loading .22 third. Why is open carry needed? Are you a cop? Is your life at risk? No. Then keep them concealed. Not everyone is cool with them. Finally, why in God's name can your kid get into your weapons? Lock that thing up. They aren't toys, people. Story 31. Rowing machines at the gym? I rarely see anyone do it right. The right way? Start legs and arms straight. Slide forward until knees are bent all the way, arms still straight. The catch, where you would be dropping the oar in the water. Push legs first until straight, the drive, then and only then pull the arms to the chest at solar plexus height while reclining your back about 30 degrees, the finish or the end of the oar stroke in water. Drop your hands from the solar plexus to belly, straighten arms, back forwards 30 degrees, legs, back to the catch, repeat. Story 32. Parking in general, put your car in between the lines, not on the line, and don't straddle the line. Leave some room for doors to open as well. If parking at a curb, put your rear or front bumper just shy of the parking meter, not your door. You are not meant to open the passenger door into the meter, and this way you only take up one space. Heck, if there are lines, use them as freaking guides. Don't pull right up into someone who is trying to leave a parking spot in order to make sure you get it. We see the blinker, and no, my car is not a zero-turn riding lawnmower that can hover over the front end of your Buick. Leave me some space, or I will just lock up my car and head back into the market to spite you. When you turn wide to get your crappy car into a spot, you block up traffic in multiple directions. Pulling into oncoming lanes to put on your signal and wait while blocking all sorts of traffic is possibly the stupidest thing I have seen during the holiday rush. When parking on a street, don't park across the front of a driveway. Also, don't act surprised when the cops are called and you get a ticket and towed. Don't park in and block a driveway, which is the only access for 12 apartment units, and then go get a handy from whoever you are visiting. Park on the street and walk the extra 20 feet. Story 33. My boyfriend starts showers wrong. He says his mom taught him to get in the tub, turn the water on where it's running through the bath faucet, wait for it to get hot, then pull the knob that makes it go through the shower head. So every time I hear him scream because it's cold water hitting his feet, I ask why he doesn't just turn the water on, pull the knob so it heats up through the shower head, then get in when it's an adequate temperature like my mom taught me and how I feel the right way is. But he continues to scream at cold water every morning. Story 34. In Catholic school religion class, we needed to write a letter that would be addressed to Trudeau, arguing why pro-life was the stance the government should take on termination. Regardless of your own personal stance on it, I argued against it and was met with, "It's simply to see that you can argue both sides." Okay, fair enough. But it aggravated me a lot in spite of their explanation because it was still an exercise in preaching and using religion doctrine as a way of grading me academically. Important backstory, we had a classroom debate on termination, and this time we could choose sides. The teacher and a few other students were adamantly arguing that pro-choice was the same as pro-termination, and referring to our stance as just that. My argument towards that was that you may be for women having the choice to get terminations, but personally wouldn't have one yourself. I followed up with an argument that suggested pro-life could be called pro-birth, which would be more accurate since the idea that a child being born to a crappy household is better than terminating it before it even enters the world suggests that the only concern is the child being born rather than the life that it will be born into. So I wrote that letter, and right before submission, I had a burst of inspiration to Control F, pro-life, replace all, pro-birth, and then I submitted it. It was small in the grand scheme of things, but it made me feel better. Story 35. I take the slightly slower route, side streets to work if it is the most direct route, and I don't have to change lanes constantly and take right turns at huge intersections. I get very anxious when I drive, and I moved to a big city a year ago, and I hate it. Too many cars, too many people, not enough awareness on the road. Yesterday, I gave directions to a friend so we could drive somewhere, and he said, "I would never go this way, this is stupid." I told him it's because the large intersection a block away is always backed up at this time, and this way is technically faster. But whatever, let's wait almost 10 minutes at a 5-lane intersection that also has a trolley going through it when we can get to our destination in like 3 minutes. Story 36. Job interviews. I don't go in trying to sell myself. I instead go in to decide if I want this job. I interview the interviewers. It's probably arrogant as heck, but I tend to lean back in the chair, hands behind my head, discussing the job with them. So far, I have landed every job I interviewed for and have negotiated a better starting package every time. On one hand, I negotiated myself a higher pay than my new boss. Needless to say, that ended up being a very unhealthy work environment. On a related note, I do not have loyalty to my employer. I require that my work environment be enriching for me. If it is not, I find a new job and negotiate myself at a higher package than I would be making if I stuck around for raises. I don't believe you should do what you love. That's a surefire way to destroy your passions. I believe you should do what you are good at and find a workplace that is fulfilling. This has kept me from being a slave to my job, and I've never felt afraid to lose my job. There have always been plenty of jobs out there, even during the recession. Story 37. My partner and I have a non-monogamous relationship, now marriage. We have been together for 22 years and are non-monogamous for all of it, which has ranged from long-term relationships on the quote-unquote side for one or both of us, or outside fun and games, mostly for me as I'm bi and still like intimacy with the fellas sometimes. We are both menopausal now, so that the romps have largely settled down, sigh, but she has an ongoing 6 years romantic relationship with another woman, and the three of us now live together with a fourth housemate who is not romantically involved with any of us. I'm deliriously in love with my wife and have been since 1995. So we are doing all sorts of things quote-unquote wrong and are happy as can be. Story 38. I interchange Patrick Swayze and David Hasselhoff and Gandalf and Dumbledore, and it drives people crazy, especially people who love Dirty Dancing, specifically for the Swayze, and Harry Potter and LOTR, Lord of the Rings. Like, oh yeah, Dirty Dancing? Yeah, I love David Hasselhoff in that. Or, I can't believe they got Patrick Swayze to do the SpongeBob movie. Or, it's crazy how Gandalf always knows what is going on school grounds. He's such a cool headmaster. And wasn't it freaking sweet how Dumbledore was all, "You shall not pass," to Throgdor, the Burninator? And then I own the crap out of it. I never give any indication that it's a joke and just go on. Some people just brush it off and think I'm an idiot, and some go on a tirade about it. It's a good time. Okay, so now I'm genuinely questioning everything I thought I knew. Was it actually David Hasselhoff who told Frodo to just believe in himself? This is messing with my entire pop culture foundation. Story 39. My cousin absolutely insists that every one of his children, the oldest being 11 right now, will be taking their driving tests using a manual transmission vehicle because, quote, that's how real cars work, none of that sissy automatic crap. This despite the fact that he spent 6 months trying to buy a new truck because he wouldn't budge from the one he wanted until the manufacturer would special order it for him in a stick with no power windows and power locks. He settled for accepting AC and power steering, not to mention it won't be any easier in 9 years when his youngest is testing, and half the world is already trying to figure out how to afford an autonomous vehicle. It should be noted, however, he never moves more than 4 feet from his iPhone at any given moment. I respect his methods, but cannot possibly understand or support them. Story 40. Play any type of sport for fun. My whole life, anytime there's been a group of friends or family who have been like, let's play a game of this or that, I just want to have fun, and most people want to get mad about rules and technical crap that I just find unnecessary and always laugh off. I never want to keep score. I don't care if something was 2 inches out of bounds, double dribble, etc. Once I had a friend screaming her head off at me because I said I didn't have a vote when trying to see if someone's serve was out in volleyball. I was like, whatever, just let them redo it. This ain't pro crap, it's literally for fun. Same with board games, etc. I'm just relaxed about rules, and I know that's the wrong way to be about games and scores and whatnot, but okay. Story 41. I cashed in some cryptocurrencies and bought myself a super-powered PC last month with high-end parts, triple SSDs, triple hard disks, some high-end graphics card, and 8th generation Intel or whatever. Liquid cooling too, because why not? Latest stuff can handle modern games at 4K 60 or whatever. Except I don't have games or even Steam installed on it. The $2,000 PC is a video editing, programming, and spreadsheet machine with Windows 7 for my legacy software. I cashed in more cryptocurrencies and also bought a PS4 Pro to replace my standard PS4 plus a Nintendo Switch, and that's where I do all my gaming. Most people would go, OMG, join PC Master Race, but I just go, lol, no. Story 42. My work, I'm a pharmacy tech, doesn't like to put dates on things for 2 reasons. 1, they don't have any sense of organization and structure, so for some reason even paperwork and faxes aren't dated. 2, they don't like the idea of, say, throwing away compounded medications that are older than 90 days because it would mean a blatant monetary loss. I come from a sterile, non-sterile compounding background, and I know the risk it carries as far as patient safety. I date every freaking thing. I'm not risking my license or some old lady's life for $50. You can shoot dirty looks at me all you want, Debbie. Story 43. I type in a very weird way. I've never seen another person type the same way I do. When I was a receptionist in the medical office, I actually had patients that would notice and try to reprimand me for it because they said there's no way my way was faster, and that my accuracy must be worse than people who type correctly. With my left hand, I type perfectly normal, but with my right hand, I only type with one finger. Some would call it the hunt and peck method, except I don't actually have to look at the keyboard. In fact, if I look at the keyboard, I will undoubtedly make mistakes. It's even more odd if you take into consideration that I'm right-handed. I type almost 80 words per minute with roughly 98% accuracy, and I refuse to try to correct my form. Story 44. I articulate each word in my speech very distinctly. Initially, it was confined to professional environments because my compiled evidence must be expatiated in court, and I have to communicate with a variety of people and jurors who might find my accent incoherent. I've even attended elocution lessons during my university years to expunge my native accent altogether. But it has asserted itself in my personal life as well. People I've dated in the past have expressed annoyances at my crisp consonants. They think I'm emulating a posh person and being pretentious. Still, I was advised by my professors that my spoken English was too mangled to work in such a profession without obtaining a clarity of sound. It's a habit now. I over-enunciate everything in fear of being perceived as professionally inferior to my colleagues. Years of fastidious attention to pronunciation is difficult to just switch off. And personally, it was also difficult for me to read this last story because I was trying to enunciate every single consonant. Story 45. Late to the party, but here goes. According to my roommates, I eat bananas raw. Our bananas are located near the garbage bin, so whenever I feel like eating a banana, I grab one, discard all of the banana peel, and walk away with the fruit, eating it. That way, I need not return to the bin with the peel when I am done eating. This sparked tons of debates between me and my roommates and whatever guests we might have over for that night of intoxicated silliness. Mostly in good fun, though. Once in a while, I will eat a banana right up in the face of my disagreeing roomie the way I find correct, not saying a word, just staring right into his eyes. That usually cracks him up. Story 46. My job involves creating engineering documents for projects, and there was a push a while back to send more and more projects to our drafting partner in India. Basically, they do most of the drafting in CAD, then send it back to the designer for proofreading. And I thought that was stupid. Because of the time difference, it would take at least 24 hours to get the drafts back from India. So I just did the drafting myself, and my cycle time plummeted because I was spending less time correcting mistakes by just doing it right the first time. I got some pushback from my teammates who wanted me to just play along and do what everyone else was doing. But my way is faster and produces higher quality, so I politely told them to screw off. Now, they still use India a lot, but I'm left to do my own things because you can't argue with the results. And if you like these stories, here's more for you. YouTube thinks you're going to love this. I'll catch you in that video. Thanks for watching.